Iggy is our eyes and ears at the practices. I'm not credentialed to go anymore, and Iggy is high on Trey Lance. So I always want details. So my question is twofold. In practices, training camp, not games, what does Trey Lance do better than Jimmy? And what did Jimmy, not this season, but prior to this injury, what did Jimmy do better than Trey Lance? Why don't you start with what Trey does better than Jimmy?
Okay. This is a great question, and it's pretty stark. There's two things that Trey does better than Jimmy in practice right now. First of all, downfield throwing. Trey's really good. He hits at least one 20-yard throw a day. He's very aggressive. He's looking to throw the ball down the field. And so far, he's completing the downfield throws, stuff longer than 20 yards in the air at a very high rate. That's a good sign because Jimmy doesn't even throw those passes. It's not even something that he necessarily looks to do. And Trey Lance is looking at it a lot, and he's been efficient with it. So that's a big difference right away. And then there's the other thing. Like in practice, there's no sacks, but you can't touch the quarterback. But it's kind of understood when there's a sack. Guy runs by the quarterback, things kind of break down, and the quarterback is free to extend the play, run around, find a throw, practice something. Jimmy was terrible at that. He wouldn't even do it, at least in practice. He was very stationary. And so everything would have to happen in 2 or 3 seconds. And if it didn't, there was nothing more that was going to happen. With Trey, I mean, there's so much pressure every single play that instead of him just checking down a lot, he scrambles, he moves, he extends plays, and sometimes really good things happen and sometimes bad things happen. But there's like the second play constantly. That's interesting. I mean, you don't want that to be the offense during the regular season, but he doesn't really have a choice right now. It's not like he's dropping back and being confused. He's dropping back and getting swarmed and no one's open. So what he can do is make something out of nothing, which I never saw Jimmy Garoppolo do in practice.
Can Trey throw on the run?
Oh, yes. Rolling left, rolling right. He's almost better at throwing while moving because, when you're stationary, that's when all the mechanics come into play, all the stuff you worked on in the off season with the coach that you're thinking about. But when you're rolling left and right, it's kind of just being an athlete, doing the stuff you've done your whole life. He's pretty good at that.
Okay. Yeah. Let's reverse it. Is there anything Jimmy did in practices better than what Trey does?
Well, I was always really tough on Jimmy Garoppolo in these practices, but now I'm really seeing like this Niners defense is a lot better than the Niners offense. And the quarterback of this offense going against this defense is going to be overmatched. So Jimmy did throw a lot of picks in practice. Trey is too. He didn't throw one today, but that seems to be sort of what you do against this defense. It seems that even though Jimmy was overmatched, Trey was overmatched, what Jimmy could do against this defense was just find completions. So like last year, he completed 63.5% of his passes in camp. I mean, Trey's in the 50s right now. And he's not necessarily having a bad camp. It's just he's aggressive. It's a good defense. They're not giving you easy throws, and he's taking difficult options. Jimmy could find completions. He could find checkdowns. He got the ball out quicker, so his completion percentage is higher. Doesn't necessarily mean that he's a more effective quarterback, but his completion percentage is higher.
It's something that was a positive that, in fact, you might even admire.
Right. Like, let's say, so Trey's better at throwing the ball 20 yards down the field, 30 yards down the field. When it comes to throwing to a running back in the flat, Jimmy's better. Like that throw is a little bit of an adventure for Trey, just to throw in the flat. It might be a little low. It might be a little behind the guy. It's like Jimmy, you make fun of him for throwing short all the time, but he really does throw a nice short pass. He does.
And that short pass to the flat is 49er football. Joe threw it. Steve threw it. Garcia threw it.
Yeah. And it keeps the drive going. It keeps you from being in 2nd and 10.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm glad we had this topic.
Absolutely.
Because it gives us more insight into Trey Lance.
Absolutely. It was fun. It was a good academic topic to look at it in both ways.
Yeah, that's how we are. We're academic.